Hello guys, in this tutorial we are going to be creating the white-eyed possessed look. So I'm going to take you from the beginning process, the shooting process, right the way through to the Photoshop process in this tutorial, and we need to get that shot right first. And what I want to create is this uplighting effect. So we've got beams of light coming up from the bottom. All right, so I've set up the shot now, and now we've got to reflect that light back up into the face. So what you do with a reflector, even though it's a cloudy day, there's not much light today, with a reflector, a silver reflector, you can bend the light and bounce it back up into the face. And look, as you can see there, it's lifting into the face and now it's out the face. And that's what we want to get a spooky shot. So let's go and take the shot. Okay, so I am shooting at ISO 100, f4, and a shutter speed of 125th of a second. That should get me a nice sharp shot. And here we go. As you can see, my lovely assistant Jude here is reflecting the light back into the face. I've got a lovely catch light. Now I need my model to look mean. Give me a nice smile. Ha 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 kind of smile. Yeah, that's it. Brilliant stuff. Now that is going to be scary. Let's go back to the studio. So we're back in the studio now, guys, and I have the picture on my screen. Let me just run through what I've done so far. So here's the original picture. That's the left eye, that's the right eye, and there's some effects that I've put over the top. So that's what I'm going to run through with you now so that you can do it yourself. I'm also going to give you this picture as well, so you can download this picture and follow along with me if you want to. The details for that are in the description of this video. Okay guys, before we jump into Photoshop and I show you how to do all this great stuff, I want to take this opportunity to tell you about the courses that we run over at theschoolofphotography.com. We teach photography properly over at theschoolofphotography.com. We are professional teachers. I've been teaching photography since 2002 and I've taught thousands of people just like you. So if you want to learn photography, Photoshop, Lightroom, studio lighting, anything photography related, come over and see us at theschoolofphotography.com. We will help you out, I promise you. Okay, let's go back into Photoshop. So I'm just going to hide all of these groups here so that we can get back to our original picture. And the next thing I need to do is add a new layer, and that is down here in the new layer icon in the layers palette. Just click on that, it gives you a new layer. And I'm going to enter quick mask mode, and I'm going to put a quick mask around one of the eyes. And you do that quite simply by clicking the quick mask mode icon over in the toolbox, or you can press Q if you want a shortcut. So we're just going to enter the quick mask mode, because basically what I want to do is create a quick mask around one of the eyes. Now make sure that you have your brush tool selected in your toolbox here. Go up to opacity at the top here, drag it up to 100%, and in this drop down box here, you want a hardness of around about 80%, so that it is, your brush is just slightly soft around the edge. And then I'm going to press Control and plus to zoom in on my picture. I'm going to zoom right in close. Hold down the space bar and you can click and move your picture around. Just like that. And then you quite simply click and paint, if you like, your quick mask inside the eye. Now, it doesn't matter if you are not 100% perfect at this point. Don't worry about it. Just get it roughly around the eye. We're going to tidy it up a little bit later. Okay, so now let's paint it in the middle. Go around the edge, paint it in the middle like that. That will do. Then you can press the Q key again to exit quick mask mode, or again, you can click the icon in the toolbox. So let's just click the icon. And as you can see, what it's done is it's created a selection around the eye. Now what we need to do is inverse that selection because it's actually selecting the outside of the eye at the minute. So to do that, you go to select, inverse, and now we are working within the eye. And what we want to do first of all is fill that selection with a colour. And I'm going to choose the lightest colour of this eye to give me the base colour if you like. So for that, I am going to go Shift F5 and that will bring up your fill box. From the contents here, I'm going to select colour. A little colour box will appear, and then I'm going to click over one of these colours that's very light, like this one here. Once I've done that, I'm then going to drag the colour a bit lighter. So there it is there. Watch this box here. So there it is there. If I drag it over, it gets lighter or darker. So I want it to be there, not pure white, but still quite light. So basically, I'm using the original colour of the eye, but I'm just lightening it up a little bit, okay? So once you're happy with that, you click OK. And OK again. And as you can see there, it's now filled the eye with that colour. Now what I'm going to do is tidy it up so that it fits inside the eye. And to do that, first of all, we're going to add a layer mask. Again, in your layers palette down here, we're going to add a layer mask by clicking this button here. And as you can see, it's added a layer mask. And around the edge is black and in the middle is white. And that white bit is effectively our eye here. And now I can tidy up the area using this mask. And you do that again by making sure you have your brush tool selected. And then if you right click, you can change the hardness of your brush again here. Now I'm going to make the brush a little bit softer for this task, because I'm going to soften out the edges of the eye, or the inside of the eye that I've just created. Press return when you're happy there. If you press your bracket keys, you can make your brush bigger and smaller. And if you press the X key, you can change from black to white over here. So just watch this, and you're changing from black to white. And that's really important when you're using a mask, because black erases and white brings back. So I want black paint. I'm going to take the opacity down as well to around about 80% here. And now I'm going to paint around the eye like this and get this all nice and tidy. Okay. So for example, I need that line from the bottom of the eye, that sort of dark bit that comes out at the bottom of the eye. So I am masking back that area so that I can see that line. So it's going to take me a little while just to go around the edge and get a bit fiddly. So I'll do that and I'll come back to you in a minute. Okay, now I've tidied up the eye and the colour is sitting really nicely within that eye. You don't have to worry too much about the eyelashes at the top at the minute, because we're going to put them in afterwards. So as long as you've got it looking roughly like this, you are good to go. The next thing we're going to do is duplicate this layer. So you do that by pressing Ctrl and J together. And as you can see, I've now got a duplicate of this layer. Then I want to select a dark color within the eye. So I need to hide these layers so that I can see the picture underneath again. I'm going to click on my foreground color over here in the toolbox and choose a dark color within the eye. I'm thinking around about here. There we go. And then click OK. Then we're going to bring back the layers. And I'm going to select my gradient tool here. At the top in your options bar, you need to select this one here, which means from foreground color to transparent. So let's just click on that, make sure we've got it selected. And now what we're going to do is we're going to bring that darker color into the eye in a graduation so that it creates a kind of 3D effect, if you like. And that's really easy. You're just going to click and drag and release, and there you go. You can see that's just giving me a slight bit of graduation of color And that's not bad actually, like it is. Let's do one more down the bottom here. So you've got to try and think about where the light's coming from. So don't forget we had the reflector coming up into the face, which means the bottom of the eye in theory will be lighter. So something like that would actually be all right. Let's just zoom out. Let's go Control 0 and zoom out and see how it's looking. It's already looking quite three-dimensional, and that's quite cool. And let's play with this a little bit more. Control and plus to zoom in. Spacebar to move it across, and make sure, let's just see if, yeah, that's a bit better. And that's a bit better there, like that. You can also, if it becomes a bit too much, if you like, you can take down the opacity of this layer a little bit and blend it in a little bit more. You can also use the mask of this layer if you want to refine it even more if you need to, but actually that's not looking bad. I'm just going to take the opacity down a little bit more, and that's all right, I think. Let's press Control and 0 to zoom out, and it's not looking too bad. I could probably tidy up a little bit with the mask, and that's what I'm going to do. So let's zoom in again, and let's select the mask of this layer. Make sure you want a paintbrush tool. I've got black paint. This time I'm going to take the opacity right the way down and just blend it around a little bit better. And that's a bit better. At this point you might also see that it's bleeding out of the eye, and again you can tackle that by just selecting the mask, using black paint, pressing X or clicking this icon to go from black to white, and if you need to you can take some of that out like that. Let's increase the opacity, and yeah, let's take that out. There we go. There we go, that's much more tidier. Okay, so basically what I've got now is this rounded white eye, if you like, or it's a blue coloured eye. Now what I need to do is put a catch light in the eye so it looks like something is reflecting. It looks a bit more realistic. And to do that, I'm going to use brightness and contrast adjustment layer mask. And for that, you're going to go down to this icon here, click on it, and you're going to click on brightness and contrast. When this box pops up, you're going to drag brightness up slightly like that, and as you can see, it is brightening up the whole picture. But don't worry, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we've got the mask selected on the brightness and contrast layer, which is this one here. You're going to press Control or Command if you're on a Mac, and I. And now that's given me a black mask, which means it's hiding the effect that I've just done. I'm going to close down this box here, and I'm going to select the lasso tool over here. I'm going to make sure that I've got a feather of about 1 or 2 pixels, and you do that by just typing it into the options box at the top here. Just type in 2 pixels. 2 pixels will be okay for now. And then I'm going to just draw a selection of a rough catch light, and that's sort of like an average catch light there, like that. And then I'm going to paint white into that selection, which is effectively going to reveal the effect that I just created on the whole picture. So over here, I'm going to select the brush tool, go down to here, flick to white, and then I'm going to paint over this selection area like this. Okay, now I'm going to press Control and D to deselect it, and as you can see, it's created a kind of catch light for me in that eye, which is great, and that's exactly what I want. Now let's zoom out just to see how it looks. Control and 0. Now it's looking a little bit fake, basically, that catch light. It looks a bit cartoony. So all you do is take down the opacity of the brightness and contrast layer. So we come over, make sure the layer's selected. We click the opacity and we drag it down, and as you can see, have a look over here, it's getting brighter and darker, and I'm thinking probably about here, around about 80% there. Okay, again, let's zoom in, Control and the plus key, And I can just, if you want to, you can just have a play around with the brightness and contrast settings. So if I double click on this icon, it brings the brightness and contrast up again. So I can pull it up or pull it down and get it roughly how I want it to be. And yeah, I think it was okay where it was. And that's fine. Let's just hide that layer and bring it back again. It gives us a little bit of a catch light. And now what we need to do is add the eyebrows back in over the top so it looks more realistic. And basically what we need to do for that is pretty much draw them in again. So we need to add a new layer for that. Down the bottom here, you click the new layer icon. And I'm going to hide the layers underneath so that we can see the original eyebrows. So let's hide that and hide that and hide that. And there they are. Let's zoom in a little bit further on this eye. Maybe even a little further still. Here we go, that's good. Now for this I'm going to use the pencil tool. So you come over to your toolbox, click and hold on the brush tool, and then you come down to pencil here. Use your bracket keys again to make it bigger or smaller. Right click and make sure that your hardness is around about 80-ish, I suppose, around about there again. Press return when you've done that. And you want a really small brush. Then you press the Alt key, and with the Alt key held, you can select any color on your screen, okay? So for us, we want the color of the eyebrow, which is this color here. And then I'm gonna literally paint over the top of the eyebrow like this. Now don't worry too much at the minute because it looks really strong and bold, but we're gonna calm that down in a second. So that's basically what you're going to do. You're going to draw all of these eyebrows back in, and you don't have to be absolutely accurate at this point because we are going to blur them and fade them in a little bit. So let's draw a few more. If I hold down the Alt key again, I can select that color, which is a different color. And this is basically what you've got to do. You've got to select lots of different colors of the eyebrows and start painting them in. You can change the brush size as well and start painting in little bits at the end. And let's select this color here now and paint a few more in. Okay, and you just layer that up. So different colors that you are selecting from your eyebrows and different pencil sizes as well, just to give a variation. Don't go mad, all right? Don't go mad because you don't want like big bushy eyebrows. Try and copy as best as you can, you know, the eyebrows that are already there. So I'm going to do that now. You don't need to watch me do that, and I'll come back to you in a second. So I've painted on a load more eyelashes, and at the moment it might look a little bit fake, but we're going to sort that out now. Let's reveal the layers underneath again. So there is the possessed eye look. And as you can see over the top now, we have got eyelashes. Let's press Control and 0 to go full screen. And there, it doesn't look too bad at all because we're not zoomed in that much. Let's zoom in sort of 100%. So in my navigator here, I've got 100%. If you haven't got your navigator showing, it's a really good tip to have your navigator up as you're working, and you just press Window and you go down to Navigator and it will pop up for you, okay? And here we go, look. That's not looking too bad. It does look like eyelashes, but we can make it look even more realistic. What we're going to do is we're going to blur it and fade it a little bit. The first thing is to go up to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. And then you drag this slider so that you can select one that's going to look about right. Now, a really good tip is to try and get it looking like the ones underneath here. So 0.4 is still a bit sharp. I think probably, yeah, 0.7 or probably 0.6. Let's type in 0.6. Now that's not too bad, 0.6 on the radius. If you're using this photo, then that setting will be fine. If you're using a different photo, it might be a different setting, so don't rely on that 0.6. Let's just click OK. And then I'm going to reduce the opacity of this layer to blend it in even further. Probably down to about 90%, like that. Okay, now let's zoom out and have a look. Now it doesn't look too bad, it's quite realistic. We've got a nice catch light in the eyes. The eyelashes look quite realistic. The thing that's bothering me is this line under the eye here. That line under the eye, that needs to be blended in a bit more. So I'm going to go back to the mask of this layer and basically blend it in a bit more. So let's zoom in and move over to that eye. Now it's going to be one of these two here, okay? So let's just hide them so that you can see. It's going to be that one and that one there. I've got a feeling it's going to be this one mainly. So I'm going to select the mask of this layer. I'm going to make sure I've got my brush tool selected here. Make sure you've got black as a colour. I'm going to take the opacity right the way down so I can really softly blend it in. And I'm going to make a nice soft brush, so have my hardness to 0. And then I'm going to just softly blend that in. And you can hardly see anything happening because I'm doing it obviously really softly. Now what I need to do is go to the other layer mask here and do the same thing here. So again, nice and softly turn. Now you can see things starting to poke through. And again, I'm going to go back to this one now because they're kind of interlinked a little bit. As you remove one, you're going to need to go back and remove the other. And now that is nice and soft, and it's that line that makes it realistic. It's that line under the eye, you know, like literally where the eyeball touches the skin. If that's not showing, it just doesn't seem to look realistic. So now that is showing. Now let's zoom back out using the navigator this time. Yeah, and that's much better. I'm much more happier with that. And then what you do is exactly the same thing with the right eye or the other eye. And you don't need to watch me do that all again because I've just done it. And here's one I made earlier. So I'll just reveal that now. And there it is there. So now what we've got are two eyes possessed. And now what we need to do is put some effects on it because as you see currently, let's just zoom out again to full screen. I mean, the eyes are looking cool, but really it doesn't look that ghostly. We can put some effects over the top of this and really make it look cool. So the first thing I'm going to do is group all of these layers here by holding down the Shift key. You click on the bottom one, hold down the Shift key, click on the top one, press Control and G, and it groups all of them layers. And I'm going to call this Left Eye 2, just like that. The first effect I'm going to give it is a gradient map, because a gradient map harmonizes all of the colors, if you like. It kind of puts an overlay over the top of it all and puts some contrast in it, color tones the whole thing, and yeah, it just seems to bring it all together. So down the bottom here, I'm going to click on the Add Adjustment Layer icon, and I'm going to go Gradient Map. This box will appear here, and I'm going to choose two colors. I'm going to choose a dark color and a light color, and I want it to look like cold and, you know, spooky. So we're going to go for a blue color. So I'm going to click on the actual box here, the color box, and it brings up the gradient editor. Down here, I'm going to click on this color, the dark color, click color, and select kind of a really dark blue. Somewhere like that would be great. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to click on the light color over here, and again down here I can change the color. Let's go this time for a really light kind of cyan green color, again a cool color like that there. I'm going to click OK on that, and shut that down. And now I'm going to turn the blending mode of this layer to soft light. And there you can see it's given a kind of overlay of this blue and cyan color. If I just hide it and bring it back again, you can see exactly what it's done there. It's really starting to look spooky. Now it's a bit too strong, so I'm going to take the opacity of it down to, let's just say about here, like that. Very good. The next effect I'm going to put on it is a curve, and I'm going to mute the blues in the scene. So I'm going to go down to the add adjustment layer icon again. I'm going to click on curves, and in the RGB drop down, I'm going to select blues. Now if I drag this blue up, you can see that it's kind of giving a blue cast across the scene, and it's muting the shadows but with blues, which is really cool. And I'm going to pull it down at the top as well, like that. Click on the tick at the top, hide it and reveal it, and that is not bad at all. Maybe I'll take it down a little bit, like that. And let's hide it and reveal it again. Let's now group these two layers by holding the shift and selecting them both, pressing Ctrl and G, and that's the effects that I'm going to put over the top. Now that looks very spooky. And there you go, that's how you can create spooky white eyes in Photoshop. You don't have to do the shoot bit if you don't want to, you can just do the Photoshop bit. Don't forget, in the description is the picture you can download and have a go at this yourself, and I really do hope you enjoy it. If you've liked this video, please like it, share it with your friends, subscribe to our channel, hit that bell button, all of them things, you know what to do. If you don't do them things, we can't bring you these videos, and we really appreciate it when you do those things. Don't forget to come over to the schoolofphotography.com if you want to learn photography properly. Thanks for watching, and remember, learn more at the School of Photography.